Hello and welcome to Gage's Faves, the YouTube series where I, Gage, take a particular shape of knife and choose my favorite from all of the available knives that we have in stock at the particular time that we are shooting the video. In today's episode, we're talking all about petty knives. But before we get into it, I want to hear what your favorite petty knife is, so leave a comment down below. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, Gage, didn't you just pick your favorite petty knife about 6 months ago? Yes, I did, but it is a new year and it is a whole new Gage, and we have a bunch of new petty knives in stock, and I have a new favorite, and that is the Matsubara Tsuchime Aogami No. 2 150mm petty knife with this beautiful rosewood and buffalo horn handle, octagonal in shape, so suitable for righties and lefties. Why is this my favorite knife? Well, I personally use my petty knife for a lot of butchery tasks. I do have a Honesuke now, but I'll be honest, I don't find myself using my Honesuke a ton because I usually have a petty knife like very accessible, ready to go at all times. And I'll be honest, I'm not doing a whole lot of butchery stuff at home these days. So a 150 petty is perfect for butchery in my mind because you can get yourself pretty close to the tip of the knife here, which gives you a lot of control over it. But that extra length keeps you out of the mess. So you're not getting your fingers all up in the chicken as you're trying to break it down with a little bit of extra length on your petty knife. De-steel is another thing that I really like about this knife. It is not my favorite steel, which is Aogami Super. It is arguably a step below, which is Aogami No. 2. But again, when I'm using my knife for butchery and stuff like that, I want something that's not quite as brittle as Aogami Super. And though it's not a huge difference, it does make a very slight difference. So this guy is not going to give you too much trouble in terms of chipping. It's got a stainless cladding on it as well, which is another thing that I really appreciate because you get the benefit of the carbon steel, which is that better edge retention and easier sharpening. And you've got the benefit of the stainless steel as well, protecting that carbon steel, which could rust or discolor. There is still a little bit of carbon steel exposed on this knife, just past the wavy clad line, close to the edge of the knife. So you do have to keep it dry and clean. But again, if you do make a mistake, only a small sliver of the knife is going to rust. The aesthetic of this knife is beautiful as well. I love the really rustic looking finish. It's almost got like a Nashiji and Tsuchime finish on it. Really, really cool looking knife. The edge geometry and spine thickness and all that sort of stuff that pertains to the cutting feel is what I look for in a knife as well. Not super thin right out of the handle, which means it doesn't feel super delicate, but it does have a pretty nice distal taper towards the tip. And the edge geometry again is really nice and thin behind the edge, so the cutting feel is great. The height of the blade on this guy is another thing that I really like. I find myself working on the board with my petty knife quite a bit, and this can almost be thought of as like a 150 gyuto almost. It's got a really nice height to it, so you can still use it on the board. And like, for instance, like I would grab this to do chives and like any other sort of like small herb stuff that I'm doing. This guy would be perfect for that. Great for any other sort of like small veg work that you're doing on the board. So think like ginger and chilies and garlic and all that sort of stuff. Lastly, the handle, we touched on it already, but it's a buffalo horn with rosewood. Beautiful, beautiful handle, feels really, really comfortable. Fit and finish on this knife is really nicely done as well, where the tang and the handle come together is nice. No gaps, bumps, or spaces between ferrule and handle itself. Might appear a little bit short to some of you out there, and which I would definitely agree. Like usually with a 150, the handle is almost the same length. This guy's a little bit shorter than you would typically find, but I don't find that it feels uncomfortable at all. I find that the handle's more than long enough for the length of the blade. So last thing I'll touch on is the choil and the spine. Though I've seen knives with nicer sanded spines and choils, these guys are relatively rounded off, so no real sharp edges or anything here. Makes for a really comfortable feeling knife. So there you have it, guys. Gage's favorite petty knife, the 150mm petty from Matsubara Hamono. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you didn't tell us what your favorite petty knife is already, leave a comment down below. If you liked this video, smash that like button, subscribe to our channel for more knife-related content, and until the next video, stay sharp.